friends, it's Allison. Welcome back to AJ's Inspired Life. Today I have a voiceover for you. I do apologize. It's been, as you know, a little bananas around my world, and I'm not getting quite as much time down at my desk, and so I was trying to multitask as I was making my August journal. So I'm going to bring you along, but I needed to record it and then, do a voiceover. So welcome if you're new. I'm super glad you're here. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm super glad for your support, and I love this community so much, as you know. So I'm not going to give up, you guys. I'm trudging forward in the daily journaling journal. I am actually caught up. I am current in my journaling. It feels good to be current. And we're starting August with a bang. So I did go ahead and choose some papers, and I did not bring you along for the entire process of this, but I haven't done a voiceover in a very long time. And so for those of you who haven't seen me make a journal, this is usually how I make it. There is a whole playlist down below on not necessarily how to make a journal, but making a journal. And this is normally how I do it. So just thought I'd bring you along for the process. So I've chosen some papers. Now it's August here in the United States. It is summer, and in my mind, it is blue and orange. So that is the colors of the month for me. I do have, in my head always some kind of colors that go with the month. So I did choose some colors. Now we're not necessarily traveling anywhere tropical or beach, but it is absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, we're going to go with the theme. So that's kind of the color theme you'll see throughout all the papers I did choose. And I'll show you some papers, at the end. So right now what I do, I just take, I'm trying to get through my stash, you guys. I'm trying to get through this stash, which will never happen. I've done the math. I'm whatever years old, and I only have so many more years of life, God willing, but there's literally no way to use all the paper. So, but anyway, that's my goal. So we're using the scrapbook paper. I take the 12 by 12. I choose a paper for the cover, and I cut it in half, right? I fold up part of it to get my size. It's roughly 6 by 9. Well, I mean, it's 6. If you cut this 12 and a half, if you cut the 12-inch scrapbooking paper in half, it's 6 inches wide. And then I fold up the bottom, so you can see there. I fold up the bottom and create kind of a flap. Again, if you want like a slower walk through, any of the videos in my playlist below will kind of walk you through this a little bit slowly. So yeah, so I cut that one in half, and then I've chosen it for my cover. It's a double-sided, thicker cardstock. It has some embellishment, some embossed kind of glitter stuff to it. And then I chose another piece of scrapbooking cardstock kind of paper to make, the binding. So I've added that because I use scrapbook paper. My journals are very fat. So you can see this journal's going to be a chunky monkey, and it's not even made yet. And that's 1 month. So, when I do make journals out of scrapbooking paper, this is kind of the way it goes. So, I put the scrapbooking paper on one side, and then I'm adding like a piece from a used envelope. Obviously you can see it there, a mailer envelope. It's that Tyvek paper. It's super sturdy, and binds that binding very well, so it won't rip or anything. So I'm adding that in there on the inside. It's actually a little wide, which you'll see in a minute. So that's kind of where we're at. So I'm just gonna continue building that. I'm using some Tombow mono adhesive glue. I'm using up my glue stash too, you guys. I have really enjoyed. I just posted on my Instagram. If you're not over there yet, please go check it out. And I don't post like daily or anything, but I did post. I've been keeping track of my monthly used items, and I'm really actually enjoying it. And it gives me, I don't know, some weird satisfaction in seeing actually what I've used. And I'll tell you what gave me even more satisfaction is looking at the bag of what I've used up this year. Now, what I do with that satisfaction, I don't really know, because it should motivate me to do something. And I do not like that word. So I will work on reframing that. But yeah, I don't know. It's oddly satisfying to see all the stuff that you've actually used up for the year. So anyway, at least for me. So there you see, I'm adding another piece of paper to the inside so that white won't, be as drastic or whatever, and it's a little too wide for the strips I have. Now, those strips I have are literally just pieces of the scrapbook paper that I used for the journal, except for that one strip I'm going to use the August, and that's a piece I used last year. So, but it says August on it. Like literally, when else am I going to use it? So it's gonna make its debut in this journal. So I did use that Yes paste on putting that paper down, and that's kind of, you see me rubbing it off my hands. We're still not best friends. It's okay. It's okay. But here I go again. I'm going to get it out, and this is kind of what I have found its best use for, is just kind of like big pieces of paper gluing. I don't even know. It's very expensive, and I know I'm not using it to its capacity. Like, but whatever. Again, if you're new here, welcome. If not, I got that at Goodwill a while ago for like $2 or something crazy. And I was like, oh, I have to try it. But I'm not like the best advocate for it, to be honest, but I'm trying. So that's just a little silly plastic palette thing I use to kind of ooch stuff around. So anyway, all right, so I'm adding that piece of paper in for that inside seam, and I really like that. And you can see the flaps on the down below. I just leave those for a little bit. So those are going to fold up and make pockets for the front and back if I keep them. I may or may not. We'll see. So now I've created like a wider binding, and I need to make sure actually and give it a little bit, because that Yes paste does not glue super fast. And so I don't necessarily want to fold this like right now. So I'm trying to be patient and give it just a little bit of time, because I don't want that binding moving around too much. But so you can see there, I have one signature there. I have one off to the side. I've already put some papers together. You guys, this went quicker than anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't plan for what days are Wednesdays. I didn't plan. I just folded some paper and put them together. Now I do have two pieces of paper that are a little bit smaller, and I put one in each signature, if that makes sense. I think you can see it on the front there. That green piece is a little bit smaller, and I had a matching piece, so I put one in each thing. All right, here's the measuring. If, again, if you've been around a bit, I mess up every single journal. You can wait for it, but it's coming up right here. So took the strip of paper. If you want to measure, I tend to like this. It makes my brain a little bit happier just to know, because I screw it up anyway. I might as well start with a plan, right? So you take the strip of paper. It's supposed to be the length of your journal. You fold it in half, and then you fold up the ends to the half mark, and then you fold up the ends again. That all went swimmingly until I realized I forgot to cut my piece of paper. There it is. So I forgot to cut the piece of paper to the length of my journal. So, the best laid plans. Measure twice, cut once, right? So now we'll do it, all over again. So there I'm measuring. I folded it in half. I folded up to the middle, and then I folded up to that mark. So that way you get three. You have one in the middle, and you have one spaced out to the end, so you're going to catch as much paper as possible. Now I did center these papers. Sometimes with mismatched papers, I don't center them. I line them all up on the bottom edge, and sometimes I center them, and it's completely like an aesthetic thing. What I don't ever do is center them to the top edge. But you absolutely could do that as well. Okay, it just depends on where you want your different edges. So this month I did go ahead and try and center them the best as possible. So you want to, I guess in binding it, you want to make sure you're catching as much as possible, as many pieces as possible is the point, right? So when you're spacing out, see, so I folded that. It's about an inch binding now. All right, so I am going to get out my crocodile. Now I have two, and this one is actually not the one I'm going to use. The reason I got this out is because it comes with this handy dandy case, and it has eyelets in it. And so I also am trying to use up my stash, if we haven't mentioned that. Here is the longer crocodile. So this is the chompadile, I think. I'm not too sure. All of these supplies are linked below. Okay. And I have them listed as like affiliate links, which means what? It means you get the Amazon price and it gives me like, a couple cents here and there if you buy it through that link. So it's always appreciated when you guys go to someone's video and if they have a link or anything like that. If you're going to buy it anyway, it's just another way to help, help a friend out type thing. So if you're interested in that, I do try to link those supplies below. So the major one is linked below and the one in the case is linked below. And I can't remember if the one in the case comes with eyelets or not. I've had it literally for years and I have not used all the eyelets. And so in choosing if I wanted to put eyelets in, my journal, I probably would not have. You don't need eyelets, but I have them and I'm consciously trying to use my stash. And so I'm going to pull them. So there's that. So this is the beautiful part. So see, I actually mispunched. So I'm showing you the larger Chompadile it does three things. It sets eyelets and it punches holes of two different sizes. And so I was showing you there, I actually punched the holes in the wrong size. I punched them too small and those eyelets don't fit through. So I'm just repunching them on the bigger size. You just have to slide that little blue lever at the top to the right size hole. And yeah, that's it. I just didn't do it. You can see even with my marking, you guys, those holes are not straight. And it's just completely, but it's okay. It's my journal. It's not a professional job. It's just me. And it's completely amazingly fine. Okay. So the point being, I don't know if you need to make marks or try and measure if it's not going to measure out straight anyway. And I'm fine with that. Now, I know some of you wouldn't be fine with that. And so, and that's okay too. Some of you have the ability to be way more attentive to details on stuff like this than I do. And I just, this is perfectly quirky for me. So it's gonna look like this. So I'm just setting those eyelets in there now and getting ready to sew in my signatures. So, yeah, I don't know. Are you guys making a journal? What are you doing? Are you caught up for August? Are you doing a monthly journal? I am close, you guys. This summer, ironically, is harder for me than maybe previous summers. I would honestly have to go back and look. I remember specifically, like I remember traveling to Canada a few years ago. I remember traveling places and having my journal with me and being able to journal. I have not journaled well or like consistently daily this summer, really at all. I actually took my journal with me when I traveled like 2 weeks ago to California for those days and didn't journal a thing. And I've done that like the last 2 or 3 times we've traveled. Yeah, I don't know. So that little box you saw me bring out is my binding kit. And that is also linked below if you need it. Now, you don't need to buy a kit. It comes with needles and scissors and that little awl. And that's obviously what I use to make those holes. You could obviously use the Crocodile to make those holes. For whatever reason, I tend to like to use the awl. I don't know. I've done it both ways. Both ways work. Oh my gosh, I've had such a long day, you guys. I went to this training for 2 days. And he was giving this example. And so it was just, I was going to say, there's more than one way to whatever, right? And so I was going to say there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? And so he was going into this whole thing and how he's like trying not to say that anymore because people are offended and he doesn't mean to offend anybody. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, yeah. So I don't know, preemptively say, I don't mean to offend anybody with, I'm just here chatting with myself. And so please don't be offended if, I say stuff like that. But anyway, so I've gotten out some twine. I did choose, I had a little bag of baker's twine and I have this twine in there as well. I don't actually know what baker's twine is. To me, it's like the 2 colored twine that's like blue and white or pink and white. I don't think that's necessarily the definition, but regardless, I have this solid orange one in here also that's a little bit thick. And not only is it thick, it's a little bit coarse, maybe is the right word. I'm not too sure. So you're going to see me struggle kind of getting it through actually some of these holes. Now, one of the benefits to if I had used my Crop-A-Dile and actually punched these holes would be that this thicker twine would go through it more easily, okay? Because you have a uniform like size hole. Anyway, so, but I do like this twine very much. And I think it looks kind of fun. So this is just the normal 3-hole pamphlet stitch, I guess is what it's called. It's really the only one I know how to do, let's be honest. And there's 5 million videos on how to do it. But basically, I always start from the outside. I say always is probably 98% of the time. Wherever you start is where your tails are going to be. And so I tend to put my tails on the outside of my journal. So I start from the outside, the middle. You come up the middle, you go out one of the other holes. I tend to go up to the top. Then you bring it all the way down to the bottom, come up the bottom and back through the middle, okay? And then you want to put your threads on either side of that. So you see me pulling it to either side of the middle part. And you can see it's fussing with me and I'm trying to get it somewhat equal. And then you just want to check for tautness on that. And then, you tie that little sailor's knot or whatever, right over left, left over right. Tie it a couple times so it's a knot and you're done. And then I leave those tails. Sometimes I add stuff, sometimes I don't. I tend not to add anything until the end of the month. It, for me, causes bulkiness in my ability to lay that journal flat, if you will. So if I'm going to put beads or something on it, I maybe tend not to do that until the end of the month. Okay, here's the second signature. We're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to come up through the middle of that, the entire thing, right? And then just hold on to your tails on, the back side. There you go. And then I go through the top and back out the outside. Oh, there's my head. And then back through the bottom. Now, again, you can see I'm fussing with this paper just a little bit, and it's fine. Just mess with it. You can train it to do what you want it to do. That hole's just giving me a little bit. And then the twine itself, when you go back through that middle hole, you want to make sure you don't split your twine or your thread or your whatever, okay? And that's where because then it won't pull. Then you're pulling against literally itself. So you can't tighten it or anything. But so far, this journal, it was relatively easy. In fairness, I had pulled a lot of these papers ahead of time in going through other papers throughout the month, right? I did put them in my August file folder thing that you guys have seen. If I'm going through my scrapbook paper and I see a piece of paper that I'm like, oh, that goes definitively in my brain, right? In my brain, it goes with a certain month. I just popped it in that August folder. I really was tempted. I actually pulled a journal this month to just use, a pre-bought journal, and I was just going to recover it. But then I just really struggle. Also, I can use that journal at work or somewhere else as a notebook, right? And I'm really trying to use up my scrapbook paper. Again, it'll never be gone, but I figured I can't, well, I could, but I'm not going to make one of these for work, right? That other little journal I have with just plain paper in it, I can use for work. So, all right, those 2 signatures are in. I'm just putting away my stuff, and because if not, it goes floating around my desk. You can see my desk. And yes, welcome to the chaos. So I'm just going to unclip the signatures and make sure everything's in there. I'm going to flip through these papers really quickly because I know you haven't seen them. I'm going to put my clips away. That's that little vintage case I bought a while ago. I love it. I put my big paper clips in there. So here's the flip through. You can see the papers I chose. And yeah, I mean, some are, 2 colors together. Some are white together. But overall, I'm really happy with it. The white, I obviously end up adding color to later. And I love that little fish paper. It's all pretty summery and beachy, if you will. Those are my beach colors, but I love it. So, anyway, that's the journal. I'm pulling a couple things. This is kind of what I have literally on my desk, you guys, right now. And I don't know if that's going to make the cover or not, but I will decorate it throughout the month and figure out what needs to go on there. This is just literally things floating around my desk. So that's it. August journal is done. I'm excited to get started. We do have family in town. I'm excited they're here. I will be journaling up at the kitchen table a little bit, and I'll bring you along as I can. So I hope you're well. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing for your journaling. Keep me posted, and I hope you find something today that inspires you. Take care.